Most people lose power not because of their actions, but because of their words. A single sentence can undo years of effort. Today, you will discover the 9 situations where silence is your greatest weapon, and speaking becomes your downfall. In a world where every word can be twisted, silence is not weakness. It is strategy. The wise understand that the tongue betrays more than the sword ever could. If you wish to preserve your influence, your reputation, and your power, then you must master the art of restraint. Let us uncover the 9 moments where silence is not only golden, it is survival. When silence protects your power, there is a truth that most men never grasp until it is too late. The tongue is the most dangerous weapon a man possesses. Steel can wound the flesh, but words expose the soul. Once spoken, they cannot be recalled, reshaped, or hidden again. The careless man believes that speaking shows strength. He believes that being heard is the same as being respected. In reality, the one who speaks too much becomes predictable, transparent, and therefore vulnerable. Silence, by contrast, builds walls that no one can climb. It conceals your thoughts, it clouds your intentions, and it forces others to move in uncertainty. When silence protects your power, it becomes the sharpest strategy in your arsenal. Consider the man who enters a gathering with authority, but speaks recklessly. At first, his voice may draw attention. People may even admire his confidence. But as he continues, his words reveal his fears, his ambitions, and his weaknesses. Others begin to read him like an open book. His enemies learn what triggers him. His allies begin to measure his limits. The very act of speaking strips him of the armor he thought he wore. What began as an attempt to show strength becomes the reason for his downfall. Now imagine the man who enters the same gathering but keeps his mouth closed. He speaks little, if at all, and when he does, his words are chosen like jewels, rare, precise, and heavy with meaning. Others around him grow restless. They wonder what he is thinking, where his loyalties lie, what intentions burn in his mind. Their curiosity becomes anxiety. Their uncertainty becomes respect. In the silence of this man, others project power onto him. They fear to misjudge him, for his silence makes him unreadable. He controls the room not by speaking, but by refusing to reveal himself. You must understand that silence is not the absence of communication. It is communication of the highest order. To remain silent when others expect you to speak is a declaration in itself. It says, I do not need your approval. I do not need to reveal my hand. I do not need to ease your discomfort. Silence forces others to interpret your stillness, and in their interpretation, they reveal themselves to you. The more they try to decipher you, the more they expose their own positions, fears, and motives. You learn while giving away nothing. This is why silence protects power. The one who speaks freely is naked before the world. The one who remains silent is clothed in shadow. Shadows inspire fear. Shadows create doubt. Doubt is more powerful than certainty, because certainty can be confronted, but doubt cannot be destroyed. If your rivals do not know what you intend, they must prepare for every possibility. This disperses their strength, divides their energy, and weakens their hand before the game has even begun. Observe how rulers, generals, and cunning men throughout history have preserved their dominance. They never revealed their full design through words. They allowed rumors to grow, whispers to spread, and imaginations to run wild. When pressed for answers, they gave none. When accused, they did not defend themselves. When provoked, they responded with silence. This silence created an aura of control. Their enemies feared what they might be planning. Their allies remained loyal, because uncertainty often binds stronger than certainty. Silence became their invisible fortress, impenetrable to gossip, to slander, to betrayal. Think also of the dangers of speaking too much. Every word you utter creates an opening for others to exploit. You may believe you are clarifying your position, but in truth you are only setting boundaries around yourself. Once others know where you stand, they can maneuver around you. Once they know what you desire, they can tempt you. Once they know what you fear, they can attack you. Words give them the map to your inner fortress. Silence, however, erases that map. It leaves them wandering blind. Even in personal matters, silence safeguards your power. In disputes, the man who rushes to explain himself appears guilty. In arguments, the one who raises his voice reveals insecurity. In negotiations, the person who speaks first usually loses, for he exposes his eagerness or desperation. Silence, on the other hand, unsettles opponents. It forces them to reveal more, to explain themselves, to overplay their hand. The one who can endure silence always holds the higher ground. There is also a psychological truth to be mastered. Men cannot bear silence. It disturbs them. They rush to fill the void with words, and in doing so, they expose themselves. Their need to speak becomes your advantage. They give away secrets, they make promises, they reveal strategies. All because they cannot endure what you can. The stronger man is not the one who speaks with thunder, but the one who can stand still in silence and watch others unravel before him. Do not mistake silence for weakness. The weak man remains silent because he has nothing to say. The strong man remains silent because he chooses not to say what he knows. One silence is empty, the other is full of weight. Your silence must be of the second kind. It must not be the silence of ignorance, but the silence of control. Let your stillness feel deliberate. Let others sense that you could speak if you wished, but you choose not to. That choice makes them uneasy, and unease is a subtle form of submission. In times of conflict, silence protects you from the traps laid by others. An enemy may provoke you with insults, hoping you will lash out and reveal your rage. A rival may flatter you, hoping you will expose your vanity and speak too freely. A supposed ally may question you, pretending loyalty while secretly collecting information. In all these moments, silence shields you. Your enemies will grow frustrated, your rivals will become impatient, and your allies will show their true faces. Silence makes the trap useless because it gives them nothing to hold on to. If you wish to preserve your influence in any sphere, political, social, or personal, you must learn to speak less than others expect. Resist the urge to explain yourself, to justify your actions, or to announce your plans. Explanation weakens, justification lowers, announcement exposes, silence elevates. Silence confuses, silence protects. In the presence of stronger rivals, there are moments when a man must stand before those who hold greater strength than himself. Whether that strength lies in wealth, influence, knowledge, or brute force. In such moments, silence becomes the most necessary armor. Many fools believe that words will elevate them, that they can balance the scales by displaying wit, eloquence, or confidence. They rush to prove themselves as equals, eager to show they are not intimidated. Yet their words only betray their insecurity. The more they speak, the more they reveal that they are reaching upward, not standing level. The stronger rival does not need to search for weakness. It is handed to him on a silver platter through the words of the weaker man. To speak openly in the presence of someone greater is to invite domination. For every word you utter can be twisted, stored, and used against you. The rival does not need to strike you directly. He can simply watch as you talk yourself into a vulnerable position. Perhaps you let slip a desire, and he uses it to control you. Perhaps you reveal a fear, and he sharpens it into a weapon. Perhaps you attempt to impress him, and in your eagerness, you expose your dependence on his approval. What you think is strength becomes fuel for his superiority. But the man who remains silent in the presence of the stronger is never caught in such traps. His silence is not submission. It is strategy. By saying nothing, he refuses to give his rival anything to grasp. He does not flatter, so he cannot be dismissed as a sycophant. He does not challenge, so he cannot be crushed as a threat. He hovers in the space between, unreadable, impossible to pin down. The stronger rival must then waste energy trying to understand him, while he, the silent one, remains secure. There is a particular danger in trying to speak, as if you are the equal of someone who clearly outmatches you. It is the arrogance of the small dog barking at the lion. The bark is loud, but it convinces no one of equality. Instead, it only reminds everyone of the difference between the two. The rival sees this and grows either amused or irritated. In amusement, he toys with you. In irritation, he crushes you. But if you remain silent, you neither entertain him nor provoke him. You leave him with nothing. He may ignore you, or he may watch you more carefully, uncertain of your true measure. Both are safer than open conflict. History is filled with examples of those who destroyed themselves by speaking too boldly before the powerful. The courtier who offers an opinion uninvited exposes his lack of place. The minister who questions a ruler in public marks himself for ruin. The subordinate who tries to correct his superior in front of others earns humiliation. In every case, the tongue was the instrument of downfall. The wiser men in those same courts, those same councils, those same battlefields, survived by saying little. They bowed when necessary, listened more than they spoke, and allowed their silence to be mistaken for loyalty, wisdom, or caution. Because they revealed nothing, no one could condemn them. You must also understand the psychology of the stronger. The man above you is constantly measuring those beneath him. He looks for signs of disobedience, ambition, or resentment. He knows that threats most often rise from below, so he watches carefully for words that confirm suspicion. If you, in your eagerness, speak freely, you may accidentally reveal the very thing he is searching for. A stray remark about what you would do differently, a boast of your own ability, even an innocent word that could be twisted into ambition. All of these make you appear dangerous. And once the stronger rival believes you are dangerous, your fate is sealed. Silence avoids this trap. When you say little, you cannot be accused. You cannot be painted as ambitious, disloyal, or arrogant. Silence makes you invisible, and invisibility is survival. Even when a stronger rival tries to draw words from you, the wise man resists. He may flatter you, hoping you will reveal your desires. He may provoke you, hoping you will lash out in defense. He may pretend friendship, hoping you will share secrets. All of these are tests. If you speak, you fail. If you remain silent, you pass. The rival grows frustrated, but frustration is better than destruction. His attempts to pierce your silence make him reveal more than you do. He becomes the one exposed, while you remain hidden. In negotiations, the danger of words before the stronger rival multiplies. If you reveal what you want, he will ensure you never get it cheaply. If you show eagerness, he will make you wait. If you boast of alternatives, he will call your bluff. But the man who holds his tongue gives nothing away. The stronger rival cannot calculate his moves, because he has no information to work with. The silent man forces the powerful into uncertainty, and uncertainty is a weight even the strong dislike to carry. Silence also allows time to shift power in your favor. The one who holds back, who does not rush to speak, appears patient. Patience unsettles the strong because it suggests hidden strength. Why is this man not desperate to prove himself? Why does he not rush to seek approval? What does he know that I do not? These questions eat at the stronger rival's mind. Doubt weakens even the mighty. And your silence plants that doubt without you lifting a finger. Finally, you must realize that speaking in the presence of the powerful is not only dangerous for what it reveals, but for what it demands. Every word you speak before them binds you to it. If you promise, you must deliver. If you boast, you must defend. If you criticize, you must survive the retaliation. But if you remain silent, you are bound to nothing. You cannot be held to your words, because you gave none. The stronger rival may forget what he himself said, but he cannot twist what you never uttered. Silence frees you from the chains that words forge. During another's rage or pride, there are two states in which men most clearly reveal their weakness: rage and pride. Rage blinds them to reason, and pride blinds them to reality. When a man is in either state, he is deaf to counsel, blind to truth, and vulnerable to manipulation. It is during these moments that many believe they must speak, either to calm the furious or to humble the arrogant. Yet such attempts only end in disaster. Words in the face of rage are like oil on fire. Words in the presence of pride are like a challenge to a duel. If you wish to protect yourself and maintain control, silence is the wiser path. Consider rage first. When anger grips a man, he no longer hears meaning in words. He hears only threats or insults. To reason with him is futile. To challenge him is to escalate. To soothe him with words often appears as mockery. He does not weigh what you say with logic. He reacts with raw emotion. If you respond to his fury with words of your own, you enter his battlefield, where logic no longer rules. There, the louder voice wins, not the wiser one. And if you attempt to outshout him, you lower yourself to his level, exposing your own temper, your own lack of control. The silent man, however, denies the furious opponent his victory. By refusing to answer, he forces the rage to burn itself out without fuel. Anger, like fire, needs something to consume. Words provide that fuel. Silence denies it. The furious man may grow louder, more agitated, desperate for a response. But eventually, his own energy weakens. He has shouted, cursed, and threatened, yet the silence he receives in return robs him of satisfaction. His rage collapses into exhaustion, and in that exhaustion, he feels the shame of his own outburst. By saying nothing, you make his own behavior his punishment. Now consider pride. Pride is subtler than rage, but just as dangerous. A man swollen with pride believes himself untouchable. He parades his achievements, he flaunts his victories, and he speaks as though the world owes him reverence. In such a state, any attempt to correct him will be met with hostility. If you challenge his boasts, you threaten his image. If you point out his flaws, you wound his vanity. The proud man will not thank you for your honesty. He will mark you as an enemy. Even if your words are true, truth is irrelevant in the realm of pride. Only appearance matters there, and your attempt to strip it away will be seen as an assault. Silence, again, proves the superior weapon. By refusing to contradict the proud man, you allow him to inflate himself unchecked. Some may believe this is submission, but it is not. It is patience. For the more he speaks, the more he exposes his vanity. Others will see it clearly. His pride will rise so high that it becomes grotesque, and eventually, he will topple under the weight of his own exaggerations. If you had spoken against him, you would have shared in his downfall. By remaining silent, you let him destroy himself without ever touching him. There is also a deeper advantage to silence in such situations. When a man is consumed by rage or pride, he reveals secrets. The furious man blurts out what he would normally conceal. He threatens what he cannot achieve. He admits grudges he has carried. He exposes alliances and resentments he would otherwise guard. The proud man in his boasting reveals ambitions, possessions, and vulnerabilities. He cannot resist parading his treasures, and in doing so, he marks where he is most fragile. If you speak, you interrupt this revelation. If you remain silent, you gather intelligence. You learn more by listening to a man intoxicated by pride or rage than you could ever learn by questioning him directly. Silence also denies you the stain of association. Words uttered in the heat of another's temper can bind you to their fury. If you agree with them in the moment, you may later regret the alliance. If you oppose them, you provoke their wrath further. Silence spares you both traps. You can walk away untouched, for no word can be twisted against you. No position can be attributed to you. The raging man cannot later accuse you of betrayal, nor can the proud man say you tried to humiliate him. Silence makes you a mirror in which they see only themselves. Another truth must be remembered. Those in rage or pride are not only blind to reason, they are also deaf to gratitude. If you try to soothe the angry man, he will not thank you. He will think you tried to patronize him. If you try to humble the proud man, he will not admire your honesty. He will despise your audacity. Words cannot help them, and words will only harm you. Silence, however, leaves no wound, no scar, no memory of insult. In time, when their rage has cooled or their pride has faded, they may even view your silence as wisdom. They may imagine that you were too noble to argue or too loyal to contradict. Thus, silence not only protects you in the moment, but may later elevate you in the eyes of the very man who would have punished you for speaking. The temptation to speak in these situations is strong. Rage provokes the instinct to defend, to retaliate, to correct injustice with words. Pride provokes the instinct to mock, to puncture, to humble the arrogant. But these instincts are dangerous. They serve your ego, not your strategy. To master silence in the face of provocation is to master yourself, and mastery of self is the foundation of mastery over others. A final observation. Silence in the face of rage and pride does not mean passivity. It is not the silence of fear, but the silence of dominance. When you withhold your words, you demonstrate that you are in control of yourself and of the moment. The raging man is a slave to his temper. The proud man is a slave to his vanity. Your silence reveals that you are a slave to nothing, and in the eyes of all who witness the exchange, the one who controls himself will always appear the stronger. When advantage lies in mystery, there are few weapons more powerful than uncertainty. To be seen, to be known, to be understood. These are comforts that ordinary men seek. They wear their hearts on their sleeves, believing that transparency makes them trustworthy. They imagine that the more others know of them, the more they will be respected and admired. Yet respect does not grow from predictability, and admiration does not come from familiarity. When every thought, motive, and plan is exposed, nothing remains but commonness. Mystery, on the other hand, creates distance, and in that distance lies power. The less others know, the more they fear. The less you reveal, the more they imagine. Silence becomes the curtain behind which you craft your strength. Mystery unsettles men because it denies them control. When they cannot read your intentions, they cannot prepare against you. When they cannot measure your desires, they cannot tempt or trap you. When they cannot guess your limits, they hesitate to confront you. Uncertainty forces them into caution, and caution weakens their strikes. It is not the man who is loud and open who holds sway, but the man whose silence forces others to wonder what lies within him. They will think twice before moving against you, not because they know your power, but because they do not. Consider how predators hunt. The beast that reveals its presence too soon gives the prey time to flee. The hunter who moves in shadows, unseen and unheard, commands the advantage. By the time the prey realizes the danger, it is too late. Men are no different. If you parade your every move, your rivals will study them and prepare. If you declare your intentions, they will fortify themselves against you. But if you hide your purpose, if you wrap yourself in silence, they stumble in darkness. Their fear of what you might do outweighs what you actually intend. That fear is the blade you hold against them without ever drawing it. Mystery does not mean absence of action. It means absence of explanation. Speak little of your plans and never reveal your true desires. Allow others to guess, to whisper, to speculate. The whispers themselves are more powerful than your voice could ever be. Rumor magnifies what is hidden. It paints you larger than life, more cunning, more dangerous, more ambitious than you may even be. Men are ruled by imagination, and imagination thrives in silence. Give them nothing, and they will invent everything. And what they invent will usually be far more intimidating than the truth. There is also a practical shield in mystery. Every word you speak is a thread that can be pulled, a path that can be traced, a promise that can be held against you. The more you speak, the more you limit yourself. You build expectations in others' minds, and when you fail to meet them, they use your words as proof of your weakness or dishonesty. Silence frees you from these chains. If you never declare your plans, no one can accuse you of breaking them. If you never reveal your intentions, no one can claim betrayal. Your silence protects you not only from enemies, but also from the demands of allies. You owe nothing to anyone because you promised nothing. Mystery also elevates your presence. Men who speak endlessly appear desperate for recognition, desperate to be noticed, desperate to be admired. The man of silence, cloaked in restraint, appears self-sufficient, above the need for approval. Others begin to attribute wisdom to him, even if he has said nothing at all. They imagine depth where there may be none, simply because he does not expose himself like the rest. In this way, silence creates an aura of superiority. You do not have to claim greatness. Others will grant it to you because they cannot see your limits. Even in personal relationships, mystery secures dominance. When you reveal too much to another, you give them power over you. They know your weaknesses, your fears, your desires. They know what words can wound you, what temptations can sway you. But if you remain guarded, revealing little, they must tread carefully. They do not know which word will strike, which action will offend, which temptation will succeed. They live in uncertainty, and that uncertainty becomes their leash. You command respect not by what you say, but by what you withhold. The temptation to explain oneself is strong. Men long to be understood, to have their motives recognized, to justify their actions. But explanation is weakness. The need to be understood is the need to be judged, And the moment you allow judgment, you place your power in the hands of others. The man of mystery does not explain. He acts and lets others wonder why. He refuses to answer questions directly, and in that refusal, he creates both frustration and fascination. People will speak of him endlessly, trying to decipher his mind, while he moves freely, unbound by their guesses. You must also see how mystery can disarm opponents before any conflict begins. If your enemy cannot predict your move, he hesitates to act. If he does not know your true strength, he prepares for the worst. This drains his resources, divides his focus, and makes him vulnerable to errors. While he wastes his energy defending against shadows, you conserve yours for the decisive strike. Silence, therefore, is not only defensive but offensive. It forces your enemy to battle ghosts while you remain untouched. Mystery is not about deception alone, though deception often accompanies it. It is about withholding the truth, not fabricating it. Lies can be exposed, but silence cannot. A lie can be challenged, proven false, and used against you. But silence cannot be disproven, for it offers nothing to disprove. The most dangerous men are not those who lie often, but those who reveal so little that one cannot tell whether they lie at all. Above all, mystery breeds awe. The ordinary man is common because he is predictable. The mysterious man becomes extraordinary because no one can quite grasp him. This aura separates him from the crowd, lifts him above rivals, and places him in a category of his own. Others may possess greater wealth, louder voices, or larger armies, but if they are transparent, they are limited. The mysterious man, with silence as his shield, will always command more fear than the open and the loud. At moments of betrayal or insult, few moments test the strength of a man more than when he is betrayed or insulted. The natural instinct is to respond with words of accusation, words of anger, words of defense. Betrayal provokes the urge to cry out, to demand justice, to expose the traitor for what he is. Insult provokes the desire to lash back, to cut with the tongue as sharply as one has been cut. Yet these responses are traps. To answer betrayal with words is to reveal your wound, and to answer insult with words is to confess that it struck you. In both cases, speech is weakness. Silence is mastery. When betrayed, the first reaction of most men is to demand explanation. They ask, "Why did you do this?" They shout their pain, expose their disappointment, and in doing so, show the traitor exactly how deep the knife has gone. But what is gained by such exposure? The betrayer already knows what he has done. Your words only confirm his success. He sees that he has wounded you, and in that knowledge, he feels triumph. Silence denies him this satisfaction. By refusing to react, you make the betrayal appear insignificant. You act as though it has not harmed you, as though you anticipated it, as though it was part of your design all along. The traitor, instead of savoring victory, is left uncertain. Did he fail? Did he fall into a larger plan? Doubt replaces pride, and in that doubt you regain power. Insult operates in the same way. A man insults another to provoke a reaction, to see him flinch, to drag him into a contest of words. If you respond, you prove that his words have power over you. You confirm that he has touched a nerve. The louder your defense, the clearer it becomes that you are wounded. This is why silence is the most devastating reply. The man who insults and receives no answer feels small. His words hang in the air, ignored, powerless, and the crowd sees that he has failed to strike. Silence turns the insult back upon the insulter, exposing his pettiness while preserving your dignity. There is also a strategic element to silence at such moments. Betrayal and insult are often used to bait you, to draw you into reckless words that can later be used against you. The traitor may hope that your outrage will expose secrets, that in your fury you will say what you should not. The insulter may hope you lash out in public, damaging your own reputation. If you remain silent, their traps collapse. They reveal themselves, but you reveal nothing. The world sees their act, but not your reaction. The silence becomes your shield, and often it becomes your weapon as well. The man who can remain silent in the face of betrayal gains another advantage: time. Words spoken in anger are irreversible. Once uttered, they may close paths that could have later been useful. Perhaps today's traitor may tomorrow become useful again, if handled with cold calculation rather than hot emotion. Perhaps today's insult may later be forgotten by the crowd, leaving you untarnished. But if you rush to answer with words, you lock yourself into enmity, you escalate conflict, and you destroy options. Silence, however, keeps all paths open. You may strike later, when it suits you, not when it suits your enemy. You may forgive if it benefits you, without shame, for you never proclaimed hatred. In silence, you preserve flexibility. It must also be understood that betrayal and insult reveal more about the one who delivers them than the one who receives them. The betrayer exposes his disloyalty, his impatience, his greed. The insulter exposes his envy, his insecurity, his desperation for attention. By answering with words, you cloud this exposure with your own reaction, distracting the world from their weakness by displaying your own. By remaining silent, you let their actions stand alone, unshielded, undeniable. The betrayer and the insulter are judged by their own hand, not by your tongue. In councils and courts, silence in the face of betrayal or insult carries even greater weight. To respond with fury is to appear emotional and undisciplined. To respond with elaborate explanations is to appear defensive and insecure. Silence, however, makes you appear composed, untouchable, and in command. Others will compare you with the one who lashed out against you, and the contrast will favor you. The more he tries to sting, the more he diminishes himself. The more you refuse to answer, the more you elevate yourself. There is also an art in letting silence draw out the betrayer or the insulter further. If you speak, you close the matter. But if you remain silent, they may feel compelled to add more, to justify their betrayal, to repeat their insult, to push harder in search of reaction. In doing so, they reveal more of themselves, more of their motives, more of their weakness. Silence is not just the absence of response, it is a tool that forces others to reveal what they would otherwise conceal. The man who cannot endure silence betrays himself again and again. To remain silent in such moments requires strength, for it feels unnatural. Betrayal cuts deep, insult stirs the blood. The urge to cry out, to defend, to strike back is powerful. But mastery is not found in following instinct. It is found in controlling it. Anyone can shout when insulted. Anyone can accuse when betrayed. Few can remain silent, and it is precisely that rarity which makes silence formidable. It demonstrates to all who witness it that you are not ruled by impulse, that you are larger than the moment, that your power lies not in words, but in command of yourself. And remember this: the world often forgets words, but it does not forget composure. A furious reply fades from memory, the image of a man unmoved by insult endures. A loud accusation is soon buried under noise. The calm silence of the betrayed lingers as a mystery. Silence shapes perception more deeply than words ever could, for it forces others to interpret it, and in their interpretations, they reveal their own fears, suspicions, and judgments, while you, the silent one, remain above it all. Power is not in the noise of words, but in the discipline of silence. Those who master when to speak and when to remain still hold the keys to influence, survival, and command over others. You have now seen how silence shields you in betrayal, in pride, in rivalry, in insult, and beyond. If you wish to rise above the ordinary, you must sharpen silence into your weapon. More hidden strategies and untold lessons await. Stay with me, and together we will uncover them one by one. Subscribe now, so you never miss the next truth of power.